What's up, guys? Welcome back to another daily Bible reading snapshot. Today we're starting the new book. That's not really a new book. It's just the second half of the book of Chronicles. So, Second Chronicles in our Bibles, but this is just the second half of Chronicles in the original. And I want to show you a little book right here that I have found really useful and really cool. It is a harmony, which if you don't know what a harmony is, it kind of looks like this. It puts the two, what has it got? Samuel, Kings, and Chronicles. And this right here is the beginning of Solomon's reign, and that's what we're going to look at today. But it puts them all in order, and it has them in parallel lines so that when things are repeated in both, which there's so many things in Kings and so many things in Chronicles that are repeated, it puts both of them right here. So this is cool. You can get it for pretty cheap. This right here, look how much I bought it for. Check that out. You see that? That's called $5 right there. That's called a good investment. This book, although it smells like an old book because it is an old book, says it was printed Baker Books, Grand Rapids, Michigan in 1956. So pretty old. But anyway, we're talking about the reign of Solomon. And as we study Chronicles and Kings, one of the things we want to do is how to fit them together, but also how do we separate them? And what I mean by that is, how does each author use the stories to a different purpose and a different end? And what we see is this comparison game that always goes back to David. And what we see with Solomon is Solomon does so well. Solomon is said to be this great king that does good things for God. And what we see is he worships God at Gibeon. That's in chapter 1. He prays for wisdom, which is the same as 1 Kings 3. We see he's got so much wealth, and he prepares to build the temple and all the things that we recognize from Solomon before. It's just told a little bit differently. Very similar, though. Chapter 3 as well, which is the last chapter we look at today, he's building the temple, and it talks about how big it was and how great it was. But I want you to zero in on a verse in chapter 2, verse 5. As he talks about the house of the Lord and the temple he wants to build, he reminds us something. And there's something important for us to remember here. It says, the house that I'm to build for God will be great. I want this house to be great. Why? For our God is greater than all gods. Now, are there any other real gods that exist besides the Lord? No, because of who he is, there can't be any others. But his point is, look, if all these temples of all these other gods are so great, ours needs to be even greater because the God that we serve is even greater. Now today I feel like in our culture, in our Christian culture at least, we swing on the way other side, that it says it doesn't matter how we worship God, it doesn't matter what we do or what building we're in or anything like that, it just matters that we're worshiping God. There's a kernel of truth in that, but also there's a kernel of truth in what Solomon says, that we want to do things with excellence. Yes, it's true that Jesus said in John chapter 4 that the location of worshiping God does not matter anymore. But what it doesn't say is that we should stop trying to worship God with excellence, that we should stop trying to serve God with excellence, because God deserves our best. Just like Solomon demonstrates here as he builds the temple, we need to demonstrate by our lives. We need to give God our best. We need to give God the best that we have, because God is greater than all of other gods. I mean, think about the effort and the attention that you give to many things in your life. Many things that I'm sure are great things. The reality is God is greater than all of them. And God deserves more worship and more excellence than any of those other things that we give our time and our effort and our attention to. God deserves the most from us. And so we need to worship him rightly. And a lot of that looks like us just living faithful lives for him. And it looks like us giving time to worship him, giving time to talk to him in prayer, getting time to learn from him through the word. So super important things for us to keep in mind as we continue reading the Bible. Now, we're in John chapter 12 here in the New Testament. We just saw that Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. That's what we saw 2 days ago in the DBR. Now what we're going to see is Mary, the sister of Lazarus, does this amazing act of worship. She gives so generously to Jesus here. She pours this entire thing of oil that was super expensive. So expensive that it actually makes some people mad, makes some of the disciples angry, Judas in particular, that this lady would spend something that's so valuable on Jesus. They'd say, it's just Jesus, Why does she have to give something so expensive and so valuable? I love the connection that we have in our Old Testament and our New Testament today. Solomon gives generously, tries to build the best temple for God because God is greater. Mary, here in the New Testament, gives generously because she wants to worship Jesus with all that she has. Those two ideas I just come together so well for us to think through today, that we want to worship and serve Jesus with everything because he deserves everything. Not to mention the fact that Jesus gave everything for us. We ought to give everything for him. not as a source of payment, not as a trying to, earn our salvation. That's not the point. But the point is he deserves the best of what we have. That's Old Testament truth. That's New Testament truth. That's just God's truth for us here. So we continue to read about Jesus. It says here that he enters the city triumphantly. It's like he's fulfilling Zechariah 9 as he comes in on this little colt of a donkey. And what he does is he makes some people mad and some people rejoice. And that's kind of the split that happens in the Gospel of John. Those who are with Jesus rejoice. Those who are against Jesus, they don't like it. And it's important for us to realize that the same thing happens today. When we share Christ with people, we tell people about Christ, there's going to be two polar opposite reactions. Some people want to embrace him. Other people want to distance themselves as far away as they can. That has been going on ever since the Gospel of John and even before that. So it's important for us to realize that even when things don't go well with our evangelistic efforts, we know that there are people that God is going to draw to himself. But the big takeaway, I think, today is we need to be generous with the Lord. We need to give everything to the Lord. And I want us to think through today, what does that look like for you? Think through, what does it look like for me to be generous to God today? So that's all we got, but we'll see you back tomorrow for another daily Bible reading snapshot.